Welcome to Wannabe Clutter-Free, formerly Wannabe Minimalist, the podcast for busy families who are tired of the chaos, fed up with being overwhelmed, and ready to enjoy life again. Each week, we talk about how to let go of the clutter so that you can focus on the things that actually matter. And it's not just physical clutter. We talk about the mental and emotional stuff too, because if it's holding you back, it's time to ditch it. I share what I've done in my own life to declutter, organize, and calm the chaos, but you won't just hear it from me. There are amazing guests too. It's practical, doable, and simple for those of us that want to be clutter-free. As winter rolls in, so do the challenges of cold air and dry indoor environments. If you're like me, you know how tough this season can be on our health, from stuffy noses to itchy skin. But I found a trusted solution that has been making winters more bearable for 125 years. Vicks humidifiers. With the air getting drier and humidity levels dropping below 40%, it's no wonder we suffer from congestion and dryness. Thankfully, Vicks offers the only humidifier with a 1-2-3 combination. It combines a cough suppressant, soothing menthol vapors, and a hydrating mist that not only eases the cough and congestion, but also brings much needed moisture back into our living spaces. There's something instantly comforting about the scent of Vicks Vapo. It takes me back to being cared for as a kiddo myself. I was initially hesitant about using a humidifier, but this one is effortless to maintain. It's easy to use and clean, making it a non-invasive solution that fits seamlessly into our daily lives. And here's some great news. You can find the Vicks Cool Relief along with Vapo Steam and a variety of Vapo pads on Amazon. There's a special offer on Amazon on the Vicks Cool Relief Humidifier where you can get 20% off your purchase. Just go to Amazon.com and search Vicks VUL600 Cool Relief Humidifier. It has a blue tank with white in the center. Be sure to click the coupon to get that discount. You need this for wintertime comfort. Well, hey there, my friend. Welcome back to the show. My name is Deanna Yates, and you are listening to episode 241 of the Wannabe Clutter-Free podcast. I hope you're having a great week and are getting back into the swing of things after our long weekend. I am slowly coming out of a fog today because last week was the 2025 Chaos to Calm Summit, and it was amazing. We had over 35 speakers, thousands of attendees, and so much fun learning about decluttering, organizing, creating the right routines and habits, and clearing clutter not only from our homes, but also from our lives. I put so much work into the summit that it generally takes me a little bit to re-rev my engines. But this past weekend, we also traveled to Arizona to visit family. And so I am also recovering from our first road trip in our new EV car. And let me tell you, that range anxiety is real. I am happy to report that the trip went off without a hitch, even though I was watching that battery calculation like a hawk the entire time. But on today's episode, I am actually going to be answering a question that came up at the Chaos to Calm Summit last week. And if you're listening to this and you're going, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I missed the summit, or what in the world are you talking about? Well, I am super sorry. Please put a note on your calendar for next year so that you don't miss out. But I do have good news. Through this weekend only, you can still get access to all of the recordings of the presentations, speaker bonuses, and so much more by going to chaostocalmsummit.com or by clicking the link in the show notes. But this is the last week it will be available, so don't wait to check it out if you are interested. All right, and now back to our topic of the day. The question that came up that I wanted to address on this episode is, how do I keep things decluttered after a big purge and organization? Because clutter creeps in when we are not looking, right? One day the counters are clear, the closets are tidy, and the next it feels like the stuff is taking over again. But what if I told you there is one simple habit that can help you keep clutter away for good? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, I know firsthand because I have been there. I used to declutter constantly until I kind of figured out some systems that worked really well for us. I had tried all the different things. I KonMari'd my way through my closet. I did the 4-box method and got the clutter out. I would go on no-spend challenges. I would do avalanche declutter challenges. I've done lots of different things. And while it is great to get all of that stuff out, it's only part of the equation. It's only part of how we can make things better. Because if you don't fix this next part, like if we don't do this one thing, you're going to see the clutter pile back up. It was exhausting, right? I know what it's like to have that yo-yo. Super great. What the heck? Super great. You get sick and then all of a sudden your house feels like a mess again. And so it wasn't until I discovered this one simple habit that things truly started to change. And I cannot wait to share it with you. And I want to be honest because this is why we had habits and routines as part of the Chaos to Calm Summit. Day one was about decluttering, right? We have to get it out before we can actually make progress in our home because you cannot organize clutter. You really cannot. So obviously we have to get the stuff out. But in order for it to stay out, we have to have the right habits. And so this habit is what you need to do because decluttering does feel amazing, right? You purge, you organize, you get rid of the stuff, and for a few glorious days, or maybe weeks, or maybe if you're not so lucky, it's just hours, but your home feels calm and under control. But then the stuff starts creeping back in, and it's like this boomerang you didn't ask for. It's this moment of like, what the heck, man? I thought I was doing the right thing and things felt great. What is happening? Why is this like this again? But it's because decluttering once doesn't address the root of the issue. And it's one of those things that I really wanted to address at that summit, right? The second day was all about routines and habits, because without a habit to maintain the space that you've already cleared, clutter has a sneaky way of returning. Think about it. Every time something new comes into your home, it has to go somewhere. And if there's no plan, it just gets added to the pile or to the things you already have. It gets put right on the first flat surface you see. And so that is a problem. And there's a great analogy that I heard recently about clutter being like weeds in a garden. You can pull them out all day long, but if you don't plant something intentional in their place, or have a system for keeping them out, or get them all the way at the root at the very beginning, well, they're gonna grow back every time. And another way I like to think about the clutter that's coming into our home is like a boat that has sprung a leak. If you are in a boat, let's say you're in a rowboat in the middle of a lake, and all of a sudden water starts coming in. You can sit there with a bucket and bail that water out as fast as you can, but you are never going to be able to stop bailing out that water until you plug the leak and until you plug that hole. And so that is where this one habit comes in that is going to change everything for you. Are you ready for it? Okay, so the one habit that keeps clutter away for good is the 1 in, 1 out rule. Now, you can multiply this. You could do for every one thing that comes in, 2 things go out if you still feel like you have a lot of clutter and you don't feel like you can do any more big purges or decluttering sessions. You can do that too. It's a way for you to not only maintain, but actually make progress. But honestly, if you get to a point where you're like, you know what, things feel good, the 1 in, 1 out rule is a wonderful way to keep things under control. And so what it means is for every new item that you bring into your home, you commit to letting something go. Sounds pretty simple, right? Well, it is, but don't let that simplicity fool you. This habit is super powerful and it works. Did you know that while we spend about 90% of our time indoors, the air inside can actually be up to 100 times more polluted than the air outside? From allergens to smoke and even mold spores, our homes are full of unseen pollutants. But don't worry, I found the solution to help us breathe easier. Air Doctor. Air Doctor isn't just any air purifier. It's an award-winning system that eliminates 99.99% of airborne contaminants, ensuring that the air in your home is not only clean but healthy too. It's no wonder that Air Doctor was voted the best air purifier by Newsweek. And guess what? An overwhelming 98% of Air Doctor customers report that their home's air feels cleaner, safer, and healthier. So how does it do it? Well, it uses ultra HEPA filters that capture particles 100 times smaller than what standard HEPA filters can manage. That means it's incredibly effective at purifying the air from virtually all types of pollutants, including those invisible dangers that are too small to see but can still pose a big risk to our health. And there's more good news. Right now, you can get up to $300 off your purchase of an ear doctor when you visit airdoctorpro.com and use the promo code WANNA. Plus, Air Doctor comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee and a 3-year warranty. An $84 value, absolutely free. Don't miss out on this exclusive podcast-only offer. Head over to airdoctorpro.com, that's airdoctorpro.com, and use code WANNA to make your home's air cleaner, safer, and healthier. So why does this simple one in, one out rule work? Well, it's a habit, and it's because it's proactive. Instead of waiting for clutter to build up, you're maintaining balance in your home as you go. You're not just decluttering, you're preventing clutter before it even starts. My belief is we all have a level of stuff that works for us. Some of us have lower thresholds and we don't want as much stuff. We need things to be tidy and organized and minimalistic. Others of us are more maximalists, and we like to have things around us. It makes us feel cozy and safe, and we enjoy that. I'm not here to say how much stuff you should or shouldn't have. I'm here to help you figure out what that threshold is, what makes it best for you and your family to function. And so this is one of those rules that can work for everyone. Minimalist, maximalist, somewhere in between, recovering shopaholics, all of the things. And because it's so simple and it's so easy and proactive, we can all put it into practice. Now, the good news is there's actually science behind it. And that is why this habit is so effective, because our brains are naturally wired for simplicity. And studies show that the more objects we see in our environment, the harder it is to focus. It's called visual clutter. And so the more stuff that is around us, the more it does stress us out. But also, our brains are wired to want to do the easiest possible solution, right? The easiest thing, take the easiest path. And I know that might sound lazy, but it's not. It's efficient, because we as human beings want to streamline our lives as much as possible because we want to be efficient. And so the easier we make things, the more likely we are to stick with them and to do them on a repeated basis. Okay, so it's one of the reasons why I like to have less flat surfaces in my home, is because my tendency is just to dump everything on them. So the less things I have, the less surfaces I have available, the more likely I am to actually put things away. And so that's why this rule, this one in, one out rule, actually works, because we're not just managing our physical space, we're also creating mental clarity, we're making it easy, we're taking out that resistance barrier, and we're just saying like, okay, as something comes in, I let something else go. So let's look at an example. Let's say you buy a new pair of shoes. Well, before you put them in your closet, go ahead and look through your shoes and let go of a pair that you don't wear anymore. The way I like to do this actually in my life the most is I'm usually replacing things. I've gotten to a point where most of the things in my life I use, I love, I don't store things just for the sake of storing them. So that means I'm buying a new thing generally to replace something that has worn out or that no longer fits or I no longer love. And so that way I just know when I buy something new, what is the thing that it's replacing, and that's the thing I get rid of. But if you're not at that level yet, that's fine. You can go ahead and just find something else within the same category. Generally works the best, right? We're not going to bring in shoes and get rid of a kid's toy, right? Let's have integrity with ourselves and really try to stick with the same categories of things so that we're actually making progress. And so we're not going to be inundated with shoes and getting rid of our, partner's hobby projects, right? We want to make sure we're doing the one in, one out to the things that actually are like things. So back to that shoe example. So not only are you keeping your closet manageable, but you're also reinforcing the habit of being intentional with what you own. And that's why it's so important to stick with like categories. Now let's talk about how to actually use the one in, one out rule in your daily life. This habit works in any space, but here are a few examples to get you started. So for your closet, every time you buy a new piece of clothing, go ahead and donate or recycle one that you haven't worn in months. For your kids' toys, when your child gets a new toy, well, involve them in choosing an old one to give away. It's a great way to teach generosity. It's a great way to help maintain that inventory so that you don't have an overabundance of toys. And science does show that children do actually play longer with more interrupted time and can actually concentrate longer when they have fewer toys. When there's less of that visual clutter, our children suffer from that, overstimulation as well. So when there's less visual clutter, less things that are competing for their attention, they will get more immersed, get more into the flow, and it really helps them with their long-term attention spans. So it's definitely worth not having an overabundance of toys. I know people always are concerned about that, and I know we as moms want to give our kids the best, but sometimes knowing when to call back, when to edit is what will give them the best. And then maybe at your kitchen gadgets, if you buy a new tool or appliance, let go of one that is collecting dust. Again, if we're replacing things, get rid of the duplicate because you are not going to go back to that duplicate. I know so many times I hear people say, but what if I need a backup? Likely you are not going to, first off. And secondly, if you do, you're probably going to reach for something else. It's very interesting. We don't generally use the worst objects that we have. Right? Does that make sense? We don't use the lesser than good things, right? We use our better things if they're sitting there. Or if you are one of those people that saves things for a rainy day, well, your life is special, right? Your life is worth using the better thing now. So let go of the old one, use the new one, and give yourself some space and let go of that visual clutter and that overstimulation and the guilt that you feel with all those things that are there. Let them go, use the good ones, get rid of those duplicates. And then here's a pro tip for you. I want you to keep a donation box in a convenient spot. I do mention this tip often because it is so useful. So maybe in your closet I actually have a bin in my closet. So anytime I run across something that I'm like, I don't like how this fits anymore, or it just feels too worn out when I put it on and I don't want to wear it out of the house, it goes right in my donation box. And then that box I will go through before I donate it, because if it's something that's worn out, I don't want to donate that. I'm going to recycle it. But it's just a way for me to get things out of my visual space, knowing that they need to leave my house, and I don't have time to do that on a regular basis. I can't declutter in real time and recycle every single piece at once, right as it comes up. So I like to have these little collection boxes for things that I know need to leave my house and then deal with them at one time. So you might have something in your closet. You might have something in your laundry room. Like if you want to do more of a centralized donation for clothing, a laundry room might be a great place to put things. That way you can see what's stained, what has holes, and let go of it right away as you're doing the laundry. You also might have something in your, like a central location. So if you have 2 stories, you might have a box on each floor, or you might just have one in a very easy place for people to put things in there, so that they know where things go when they're ready to donate them, and then they are less likely to end up just shoved back in a drawer somewhere, because often things just end up in a drawer because we don't know what to do with them. So if people know the people in your home know where to put the things that they no longer want, it's more likely that they will participate as well. All right, so now you're on board and you're ready to go, but I know you're thinking, this sounds great, but what about sentimental items? Or what if my family isn't on board? Well, let's tackle some of those objections that you might have to think about a little bit deeper as you're on your path to decluttering. I know it's tough to let go of those things that feel meaningful. My advice is to start small. As I say all the time, let's not start with the hardest thing. Don't start with a giant room or your entire house. Focus on small things that you are less attached to. And as you build your confidence, it will get easier to tackle the harder stuff. And remember, the memories are not in the objects, they are in you. So if you have something that is worn out, but it has a lot of sentimental value, take a picture of it, write down the story about it. Think about how it has helped you, give thanks for that thing, and then let it go. Also, if you're just storing things in a box, are you really using it? Are you really, having that moment of appreciation and remembrance of it? Or is it just something that you feel like you have to hold on to or you should hold on to, even though it's not doing you any good, stored in a box in a closet somewhere? Now, what if your family isn't on board? Well, my best advice here is to lead by example. This one is a long road. I know we want all the changes to be done right now, immediately, tomorrow, maybe yesterday, but this one really does work. So you got to show them how this habit works in your own spaces, and over time they might just follow suit. It's not going to be probably a miracle overnight, but it really does work. I've had clients tell me, I never thought my family would be on board. And then all of a sudden, I talked with them through the process of my decluttering, like through decluttering my own things. And, some of those harder things for me to declutter, I shared those with my family. And then all of a sudden, my daughter was bringing me things from her room she was ready to declutter. And then things she wanted to gift to others, right? It made her more generous because she thought, well, I can share this joy with so many people. I want to go ahead and donate my things to others that don't have as much. And so it really does work. I know it is hard, but if you can work on yourself, right? We're doing this, like if we start with ourselves and the heart is there, like the why really is there, and your family starts to see the change in you, they will want to follow suit because they all love you too, right? You love your family loves you. And as you're actually doing these things and you're really committing, they will see that change in you and they will want to come on board as well. And if you're working with kids, well, turn it into a game. Think about what can we find to give to someone who needs it? What are some fun ways that we can, tackle the things in our room? I know that if we think about an entire room in one fell swoop, it's really difficult. So let's turn on a fun song and spend 5 minutes. Let's find 5 green things we can donate. Let's find 5 things that start with the letter L or that have an L in the name, right? That we can declutter and just make it more fun. Don't turn it into don't make it this big drudgery or, moment. Let's make it exciting and fun and bring the energy, put on some fun music, have a little, good vibe energy to it, and more people will be on board. And another thing I want to talk about before the end of this podcast is it's okay if we slip back into old habits, right? Nobody is perfect, myself included. If you fall off the wagon, it's okay. Just start again. I mean, we as a family decluttered and sold probably 90% of everything we owned. We traveled Europe for 6 months with our daughter, changed our mind, decided we wanted to come back, bought a 3-bedroom house and filled that puppy up. And so, I know what it's like to let go of everything, reclutter it back up, let go of it again. So trust me when I say that this is a journey. It is not generally a one and done thing. You are growing, you're going through different life stages, especially with kids as they grow and mature and need different things. It's okay that we have to start again. It is okay. The beauty of the 1 in, 1 out rule is that it is so easy to pick back up whenever you are ready. And like I said, it doesn't have to be 1 in, 1 out. If you find that oh my gosh, okay, over the last 6 months, things have gotten really out of hand, well, maybe it's going to be a 2 out for every 1 that comes in. And that way you'll start to chip away at the pile if you don't have time to do big decluttering. There are ways to sneak decluttering in on a regular basis where it doesn't feel overwhelming. And that is really the whole point of this episode. And so I want to leave you with an action step for the week. I want you to try the 1 in, 1 out rule in one area of your home. So maybe it's your closet. Maybe it's your kids' toys. Maybe it's even your kitchen. Just pick one category and give it a try. It's going to be surprising. I want you to track how much you are bringing into the house. I think that part is the most surprising for us because we don't realize it on a regular basis how much stuff we actually do bring in. So anytime you bring something into the house, take something and let it go. It will feel so freeing knowing that you're not letting clutter sneak back in. And remember, these small habits do lead to big changes. You're not just keeping your home tidy, you're creating space that supports the life you really want to be living. So it's so much bigger than just the stuff we own. It's about creating that space and that freedom for you to show up as the person, the partner, and the parent you want to be. So I would love to know how it goes for you. Give it a try this week and then let me know. You can comment on this post on Instagram, or you can send me a DM. I am at Wannabe Clutter-Free on the social channels, or you can come over to the Wannabe Minimalist family group on Facebook and share with the community there. There will be a discussion thread for this episode, and we would love to chat with you in the comments. And you can also leave a review and a rating wherever you like to get your podcasts, but specifically Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube are the biggest three. And if you know someone who could use a little help with their decluttering or organization, well, share the show with them. It might just be the thing that they need to hear today, and it could get you an accountability partner on your journey as well. And don't forget, if you did miss out on the Chaos to Calm Summit and you do want access to all 37 sessions and the speaker bonuses and more, you can find it all at chaostocalmsummit.com, and there will be details in the show notes as well. And as always, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate that you make this show part of your weekly routine. With that, I hope you have an amazing day. Until next time, remember, keeping clutter away isn't about perfection. It's about progress. So let's make space for what matters most. I'm Deanna Yates, and you've been listening to Wannabe Clutter-Free. I'll see you next week. Cheers.